From March 10th, 2018, on that day about 10,000 people rallied at the bottom of Burnaby Mountain and then marched up to the Trans Mountain headquarters and tank farm on the slopes, the south slopes of Burnaby Mountain. And while that was going on, we had a team of volunteers and local Indigenous folks build a watch house on Burnaby Mountain that stayed there, well, is still there to this day. So the watch house is a traditional Coast Salish structure. Historically, Coast Salish people have built these kind of structures to watch out for their enemies in strategic places up and down their territory. Over a 6-month period, 250 people were arrested. They were charged with contempt of court for violating a court order, banning people from blocking access to these 2 construction sites. This was response to the beginning of construction. So if you see construction start back up again, you're going to see these protests and these arrests start back up again.
I think we all know that Jagmeet is really competing here in order to gain a foothold, in order to lead the NDP. So there's this sort of odd tension between the local priorities of the riding and the larger national context.
I've lived my whole life in Burnaby, and it's sad that a lot of the people I went to school with are no longer in Burnaby, and the sole reason is they couldn't find housing, they couldn't afford housing here, they couldn't even find a place to rent that was affordable.
We know that Canada is dealing with issues that are much larger than just what happens in Burnaby. We're facing a climate crisis. We have a huge national debate about the Trans Mountain Pipeline, which I was surprised to see not addressed as much. And of course, we have sort of the rise of right-wing populism in countries around the world, and we got a little taste of that tonight with the People's Party.
If you care about the people of Canada, then start caring about making real promises to the people.
We have a decline in morality in this country, and I think that there's a lot of pandering going on to small minority groups, and they're setting precedent over the majority of the population. It's no longer a democracy, but it seems to be a dictatorship.
I know this area well. I used to represent it many years ago, and obviously as a candidate who's running in the neighboring riding of Burnaby North Seymour, one of the issues that I was looking to have highlighted, hopefully, is climate change.
I think there's a lot of fear-mongering going on. I think that, yes, you know what, I'm concerned as always and always have been. If you're transporting oil by water, you know, there's going to be those concerns. But overall, I think the safety of it has proven effective.
My riding is ground zero for Trans Mountain. The tanks are located on Burnaby Mountain. The tankers leave from Westridge Terminal, which is in my constituency. And there's huge concerns, doubling the number of tanks on Burnaby Mountain. The other very important issue is the issue of the respect for Indigenous peoples. The Tsleil-Waututh people are in my constituency as well, on the North Shore. The Squamish people also. They've been leading the fight against Kinder Morgan and now Trans Mountain pipelines.
You have broken the law! You have broken the law! Try to cover me up! You have broken the law! You're a criminal! Shame on you! You've broken the law and break it up!
Trans Mountain pipeline expansion, while an issue that Burnaby residents are aware of, is not the top of the line issue for Burnaby residents, and is not going to decide their vote, and is one on which they are pragmatic and understand the importance of the energy sector to Canada's economy. Well, so I was the candidate for the Liberal Party of Canada in the 2015 election, and I obviously know the riding very well. I've lived there my whole life and still live in the riding. And what I found in that riding was that Burnaby candidates really miss a strong local representative, and that's what they're looking for. And Burnaby residents are used to that, they miss that, and they want a candidate who is truly part of the riding. I think Mr. Singh has softened his position on the Trans Mountain Pipeline. He opened his campaign in August talking about it, and I think that was just another demonstration of the fact that he didn't really understand the concerns of Burnaby residents. That has shifted now. He talks more about affordability in housing as more of a central mark of his campaign platform. The reality is that heavy crude and the oil from the Alberta oil sands needs to get to market, and we need to make it marketable and provide the logistical ability for this part of our economy to function. The federal government spent $4.5 billion to purchase the Trans Mountain expansion, and that is a lot of money without context, but let's put it in context. So this is a 50-year asset that estimates have turning over $1 billion to $1.5 billion in EBIT, earning before interest and taxes. This is a net positive, even with the purchase price, even with the development costs, which are in the billions of dollars. There's no question that's a lot of money, but based on the ultimate return of this project, is still a net positive and is still going to benefit Canada overall.